Hello and welcome back to Budget Birding, where I try to see how many species I can see while on a strict budget. In this video I am back at Leighton Moss, which is one of my favourite places to go, both in terms of how convenient it is, with it being right by a train station, and with how incredible the bird life is there. And I didn't have to wait long for a quality sighting, seeing a hobby almost instantly hunting overhead. Hobbies are summer visiting falcons, easily recognised by their long, streamlined wings and incredibly agile flight. They specialise in catching dragonflies in mid-air, which takes unbelievable speed and manoeuvrability. I got to see a lot of this, even if it doesn't show up on camera well. Unfortunately, I can't afford a camera, so all of this was filmed on my phone through binoculars, so please forgive the camera quality. The hobby was accompanied by constant reed warbler song, although naturally they were staying very well hidden amongst the reeds. I was lucky enough to see a flash of reed warblers, along with blackbirds, Chetty's warbler, chiffchaff, willow warbler and a chaffinch. Unfortunately, all of these were too quick to get on camera. Even when you can't actively see any birds, hearing birdsong at Leighton Moss is always an incredible experience. A distant buzzard was flying over the field, which I almost always see over there. The first hide I came to was the lower hide, which is probably my favourite. It wasn't long before it delivered something very special. A bittern flying over the reeds. I had only been there for a minute when the bittern decided to fly up, unfortunately for another birder, right after they left the hide. That's always how it goes when birding, something special happens right after you leave. Bitterns are probably the most elusive of the heron family, always hiding deep in the reeds and blending in very well. Although recently, in Leighton Moss, they've been very active with multiple sightings today of them in flight. After the great sighting of the bittern, I was met with a classic spring sighting, a family of grey-lag geese. Not long followed by a solitary mute swan. What's so great about the lower hide is you're almost guaranteed to get close sightings of Marsh Harriers. Here I got a very exciting sighting of a Marsh Harrier getting mobbed by a crow. So excited it resulted in very shaky footage. The Marsh Harrier was joined by a hobby out far in the distance, catching dragonflies. The hobby is starting to become a regular sighting at the lower hide, with it hunting around there basically every day. It is very interesting to see its manoeuvres as it catches the dragonflies in the air, even with that sighting being that far out. I got to see something I'd never seen before. A female Marsh Harrier sat in the reeds right by the hide. Grey heron and great crested grebe became welcome additions to the day's sightings. I was also fortunate enough to see a pair of coots building a nest directly in front of the hide. They were doing this constantly for about half an hour and it was very enjoyable to watch. The hobby then started hunting even closer than before. I find it was actually very difficult to film due to how fast and agile they are, although it was a pleasure to get such a good view of this amazing falcon hunting. Meanwhile, the Marsh Harrier still isn't getting left alone. As I left, I got to see the grey-lag goose family again, this time grazing in the field. My next stop was the Causeway Hide, which provided me with some great sightings of cormorants up close. They were joined on the island by various other birds, including a Canada goose. Also, right in front of me was a juvenile coot, which I thought was a fascinating sighting. There were a lot more mute swans here, and they were joined by some tufted ducks. I also noticed for the first time there was a great crested grebe nest just to the left of the hide, also joined by some gadwall in the distance. The other great crested grebe gave some real close-up viewings of it hunting, with it consistently diving under the water in search for fish. The mute swan then decided to come very close to the hide, providing with some great sightings of it feeding. Preening pochard takes the day's total up to 26. I couldn't escape the birds of prey, as a distant Marsh Harrier can be seen in flight. Thanks to a very kind birder pointing it out to me, I got to see a lifer, a little gull. A lifer is a species you see for the very first time, and I was very excited to see a little gull. The smaller size and the black on the wings help it stand out against the black-headed gulls around it. Another juvenile I'd never seen before then showed up, this time a moorhen. As I was walking to the next hide, I got to encounter 3 very noisy marsh tits, one of which was bathing right in front of me. Merlin Bird ID misidentified their song as that of a coal tit, which goes to show you cannot trust it 100%. That then brings me to Lillian's hide, where there are always a ton of black-headed gulls nesting there, as I'm sure you can hear. I got a very nice early sighting of a family of mute swans. On the way to the next hide, I got to see my best ever sighting of a tree creeper. It was quite low down and literally on a tree right on the edge of the path. I find how camouflaged they are to be really impressive. Next up is the Grisdale hide, which is another that always provides good sightings. It was a strong early start with another sighting of a Marsh Harrier almost instantly. This platform was built with osprey in mind, although it has been claimed each year by great black-backed gulls first. Last hide on the reserve is the Tim Jackson hide. A very sweet family of Canada geese graced us by grazing right in front of me. I really couldn't escape the Marsh Harriers today, as another one flew overhead. A pair of oyster catchers have made themselves very comfortable with their nest right in front of the hide. On my way out of the main reserve I got to see many garden birds, including the chaffinch and a very scruffy looking blue tit. I started walking over to their saltmarsh hide, which is about a half an hour walk from the main reserve, and I got a very nice view of a male pheasant hidden in the grass. I came to the Eric Morecambe hide as that overlooks both pools, so provides the best viewing experience in my opinion. I was glad I came as I was met with multiple great white egrets. Great white egrets used to be a rarity in the UK, but sightings are becoming more and more common, although this doesn't take away from how amazing they are. They were joined by some little egrets, most recognisable by their smaller size and black beak instead of yellow. In the other pool were loads of avocet and black-tailed godwits. The avocet will be most recognisable by being the bird on the RSPB logo due to their very successful conservation work with that species. To help with the size comparison, this great white egret decided to stand right in front of a little egret. In total, after a very successful day, I got to see 48 species in Leighton Moss. If you want to see the full eBird list, the link is in the description. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing, as I'd like to make more videos like this.